Hello everybody, my name is Benji, and welcome back to Dyson Sphere program. I'm feeling a little bit better, so no need to worry about me. Really just a cold. I don't have the dreaded C word that demonetizes everybody, and there's a lot of YouTube drama happening right now, so I'm not going to risk having my channel damaged right now. It's not that. it's just normal illness. Happens. I'm in a completely new germ environment since I moved to school, so it was bound to happen at some point. I'm glad it happened at the beginning rather than like in the thick of things with exams. So we're good. In between episodes, I repurposed the 2 input 1 output 40 machine design that we used for my alarm went off for a whole bunch of other things on this planet, including but not limited to the titanium crystals, the plane filters, the processors, the microcrystalline components, so on, so forth, yada yada. So I repurposed that design for these. It is included here, the plane filter recipe. It's 5 per second Casimir crystal, and 10 per second titanium glass being input for it. We needed 20 per second, so that's 4 systems, 160 machines. I tweaked with some of these and some of their charging powers, and I'm probably going to have to tweak them a little bit more as well, just food for thought in the future. But we only need 2.25 of these, technically. We don't need all 3 running at max efficiency, but just in case you're using these blueprints in your own playthrough, be wary of the hydrogen count and the fact that you're going to need a lot of it, which means you're going to need to be sending a lot of logic vessels with warpers that require a lot of power. So you're going to need to be able to support that, is what I'm trying to say. And then we are making our quantum chips. Again, same blueprint. This is 10 per second, 40 machines, 20 per second of the processors and plane filters coming in. Those are being then exported off-world back to where we're going to need them eventually. And I did check on our first planet here, the volcanic ash one, for our lovely Dyson components, and they were working perfectly fine. But you'll notice that this system is starting to get a little bit cramped. So we're going to be doing the last component of our small carrier rockets, the deuterium fuel, over here in the Aegina system. And they have a couple of components, so while we are in transit to that system, I'll talk about those components. Now, there are 3 components. Number 1 is the deuterium, but I'm going to save that for its own episode, and I don't feel like doing it today, like in real life, so we're not doing it today. The other 2 components are the titanium alloy, which we don't need much of, and the electromagnetic, or the supermagnetic rings, which again we don't need much of, but supermagnetic rings are a pain in my butt. Titanium alloy is going to be super easy. We only need 10 per second, and that 10 per second is going to be half of one of the blueprints that we already have, half of this titanium alloy blueprint. Changed the icon, by the way. It used to be sulfuric acid for some reason. I'm still not sure why, so I just goofed, honestly. So titanium alloy, not going to be hard at all. The titanium, again, not going to be hard. We have a blueprint for 50 per second. We need 10. Steel, we have a blueprint for 33 per second. We need 10. Sulfur, we're on an ash planet. We can get sulfur. I just haven't actually tapped it yet. That's next on my list for harvesting everything. Which, by the way, I did harvest this entire planet after I set it up. We don't need the silica here, so we're not using the silica here until we need it in another system at a later date. And I did tap the other one as well. And everything is set except for the silica and the stone, obviously, to travel to this planet, where we're going to have all of our component parts. Then, on this planet, we're going to have nothing but deuterium processing. And I have some ideas in mind, but like I said, we're not doing that today. The other component is the supermagnetic ring, and the supermagnetic ring makes 1 every 3 seconds, so first of all, lots of machines. We need 10 per second, 20 machines, Mark III. But it also needs 2 electromagnetic turbines per second, which, you guessed it, is more machines. And each electromagnetic turbine needs 2 motors per second. And the motors need their own thing. So it's just a whole bunch of composite stuff. And it's a real big pain in my butt. And I'm not entirely looking forward to it, but it's gonna be fine. We're gonna get through it, and it's gonna be done. The thing that I'm gonna do for these guys is we're actually going to reuse some blueprints. And by that, I mean a lot of the stuff that we've been doing has just been 40 machines. 40 machines comes out to a decent number per second, and there's already some blueprints in here for 40 machines, 2 input, 1 output. Processor's a perfect example. Plane filter, 40 machines, 2 input, 1 output. 40 machines, 3 input, 1 output. And that's exactly what we need. We need, wouldn't you know it, or, well, technically we only need 20 machines, but I may as well make a design for 40 machines because I can, and who knows, I might need those for one of the sciences. Do I need those for any of the sciences? I don't need those for any of the sciences, actually. No, blue motors are not needed for any of the sciences, but that'll make it easy to expand deuterium fuel in the future in case I need it. So we'll go on ahead and do it anyway. It might be overkill, but who cares? 2 input, 1 output, repurpose a blueprint. 3 input, 1 output, repurpose a blueprint. So first of all, I'm going to show you guys how to repurpose a blueprint. This one we'll go on ahead and do because it is our 3 input, 1 output. And we're going to find some space where we've got a decent amount of space, but not too much. And I honestly think it was probably good where we were if we turn it around. So let's just turn it around. And then all we have to do is line it up, place it down, and then wait until the logic hub gets placed. Once the logic hub gets placed, go in and take away every single thing. Find the 4th one down, and where is my output? The output, let's just say for shits and giggles, we are doing the supermagnetic ring right now. So supermagnetic ring needs electromagnetic turbine, magnets, and energetic graphite. And then you'll just come in here, magnetic ring, magnet, graphite, magnetic ring. None of these are super high values. It's 10 per second, 30 per second, so 60 technically. I guess we could make this just to make it easier on the belt load, since that is technically the largest amount of influxed item. Just something to keep in mind when you're doing this. Which item might need 2 belts, might not need 2 belts. But it's as simple as that, and then going in here, selecting your new recipe, paste, 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 and then shift left click, drag, shift right click, or just right click rather, shift left click, drag, right click, shift left click, drag, right click. Perfect. And now, drop these down to our completely arbitrary values like we always do, just like this. And like this. Remote storage, local demand, local supply. This is local demand, remote storage, local demand, remote storage, local demand. And boom. You have just fully and entirely repurposed a blueprint. Congratulations. Now, I'm going to do that again for the electromagnetic turbines and the supermagnetic rings. The motors. So this is 40. I'll copy them all to blueprints later, but this will actually do 20 supermagnetic rings per second. Just something to be aware of. And then let's go on ahead and grab our processors. Our lovely processor blueprint. Since it's just a planetary hub, I should just be able to place it here. Obviously, there was some sulfuric acid in my way, so let's go on ahead and get rid of that. If that ever happens, you just hit Shift-Enter, and it goes on ahead and places everything that wasn't possible to place beforehand. And then you can just drag whatever didn't work. Go on ahead and clear both of these, put the drones in. I don't need these in there, I just realized. And for this electromagnetic turbines, we need electric motors and these magnetic coils. Do our completely arbitrary values, by the way. Literally no purpose behind this at all. Demand, demand, and supply. And this, I believe, will do... I can't actually tell, but this is a really good time for me to show you guys another project that I've been working on in between episodes as I've had time. And that is revamping my wonderful, wonderful spreadsheets. So the game music is going to cut. And we have this. So the supermagnetic ring, we have it organized with the requirements for the specific machine, how many machines you're going to need, how many of the inputs, and then EMAG turbines. EMAG turbines require motors. Motors are here. They both require magnetic coils, so the magnetic coils are down here, and that includes both values. And then same thing even down to the gears, even including Mark I assemblers for something as advanced as supermagnetic rings. So for the EMAG turbines, let's find the magic number for this. And looking at it here, I think it's gonna be something along these lines. Nope, more than that, 30. Perfect. So this will produce, since we have 40 Mark III machines, this will actually produce us 30 per second electromagnetic turbines, despite the fact that we only need 20. So that's just something to keep in mind with these repurposing of the blueprints, and something to keep in mind with the fact that we are not doing this perfectly, and that's partially just because of how much room we have here. What's wrong with some of those inserters? I'm seeing inserters flashing saying that they have a problem. What's your issue? I don't know what their issue is. Well, doing that seemed to get rid of the problem, so... that's something else to watch out for. Sometimes stuff like that will happen. Just a normal occurrence, just something to watch out for as you do what I'm doing. And now we can go back in here, grab our 3 input, 1 output. That's a sulfuric acid leak, isn't it? Yes, it is. So we're gonna want to cover this up a little bit. And grab the frame material blueprint yet again. That's gonna say... oh, it only says collide with other object. I was figuring it was gonna say that it's too close to another logic hub. However, I will go on ahead... oh no! Oh, I placed it wrong! No, I placed it wrong! Okay, fine. That's fine. That's fine. That gives me a perfect excuse to move it. Move it to here instead. And do that, because now I can get rid of this. I'm gonna have to get rid of this. Oh, the poor beagle. There's like a beagle that lives in my building with anxiety or something, because literally without fail, I hear it bark like every day at the same time. Like this shrill, yelpy bark, and I'm like, oh no, your owners left, didn't they? Oh no, actually, they're currently walking their dog. They're outside my window. I hope they can't hear me. That would be creepy. That would be a little creepy. Just a little, though. It's fine. So motors require iron ingots, gears, and the magnetic coils. And they require more iron than anything else, so I would suggest having the iron on an output belt, or on the output belt that is doubled. Just personal choice there. Also, screws, I hope you guys don't need me to show you screws. I'll do that part off camera, because, like, making a blueprint for screws, I would hope that you guys know how to do screws. It's a one input, one output. It's like as simple as factory games come. One input, one output. Nice and easy. But you can see it's been like 15 minutes since I started recording this, and I took like 6 of those minutes to actually go over everything we did in between episodes, and we're already done with motors. Like, we're done repurposing blueprints. Everything else from here is making a blueprint for gears, which is going to be 40 machines. Who would have guessed? But it's only a one input, one output, so it's going to be really, really easy just with one of these planetary hubs. And then placing down all of our iron, coal, copper, and magnet smelters, and then placing down the titanium alloy. Like, it really does not get any easier than that. Like, it seriously does not get any easier than this. So I'm just going to go on ahead, line this up, just like that. This is going to be for our gears. So iron, and just for consistency's sake, I'll put the gears down here. Completely arbitrary values. Iron demand. And then Mark 3s. Yep, that's the right lane. Just making sure. But it is quite literally this simple. Iron comes out and does not bend. And then gears go in. I didn't actually set that one. And then gears go in, and gears go in. Just like that. Set the gears, grab our inserters, which we are almost out of. So I'll actually have to grab some of those from my hub, but that's okay because I brought my hub with me. And then we just need to extend these all the way out to here. Literally as simple as it gets, even though I somehow managed to miss, but that's fine, that happens. I'm gonna chalk that up to the fact that I'm blind as a bat. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. And just like that. Well, except apparently that didn't actually have the belts fully placed yet, but now it does, so it's fine. I like to place the power like this. You guys can place the power however you'd like, or you can just use my blueprints. Either or. I don't like using the power distribution satellite thingies because of the fact that they have an idle power consumption just for being placed. It's not a lot, but I feel like it adds up over time, and these look a lot cleaner. They fit in tighter spaces, and they work perfectly fine. So I see no issues with just having these. And yeah, that's it. That's literally... That's it. That is motors. I just need to actually do the magnets now. And for the magnets, we need 110 magnets per second. If I look at my recipes here, actually, we have these guys, which are a double speed, which means our magnet smelting blueprint can do 80 per second magnets. If I double that, it can do 160, but the belts can only support up to 120. Which is fine, because we only need 110. So I can find a spot for this. And this is mainly why I cut out a lot of this kind of stuff, is because I have to find space. And I don't like finding spaces while I'm on camera, because I'm like thinking... Well, I say on camera, I don't have a face cam, but you know what I mean. I have to find a space, and I'm thinking, and the thinking ruins my talking, as if I'm already bad enough at talking. Here, we'll do the smelting here. This will be fine. So we'll put that there. And I know for a fact I do not have enough stuff. I think the smelting is going to be pretty basic, so I'm going to go place all of that off camera. But I hope you guys are enjoying, and I will see you in a few. And just like that, motors are a go. So I simply extended the circuit board layout for our 2-input, 1-output copper magnets. It's what I call them, but they're actually called magnetic coils. So these are systems of 20 machines. Each one is 10 long. I believe that does something around... Oh, wait a second. No, I had it right. Around 40, maybe 30-ish. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm not going to get into it right now. These as well. It'll all be in the descriptions of the blueprints themselves, just like this. So you'll have all the information that you could ever desire right at your fingertips if you use my blueprints. The systems are working properly by the look of things. It looks like they just need their time to actually produce everything. Unless I did something wrong. No, this should definitely be right, cause... Ooh. I see the problem. The problem is the fact that a 30 per second belt can't handle this much throughput. So, we have to wrap it. Which is going to look a little wonky, but it'll be fine overall. At least it should be. I should have done the calculation on that. That is my bad. I might have to redesign these, depending on whether or not they can actually support this throughput. It looks like they can, which is good. Because that means that I can do the exact same thing I just did right here as well. So that's always something to watch out for, just FYI. Make sure that you don't accidentally do what I just did. Oh well, it looks like it is fixed now. Yep, no issues with the products, so we are good. Which means that these will be fully saturated. Look at that. Now we're just waiting on this one to become fully saturated, and since this one is fully saturated, that means that all of them are going to go to here instead. And this will start to slowly creep itself up, as you can see. Same with this one. And then these will be perfect. Wonderful. All of my smelting I just kind of shoved over here, so we've got some magnets, plenty of magnets. I think it's like 117 or something. I just modified my own blueprint with an upgrade and a limit to the belts. And then same thing here with the iron. This is like 160 or something like that. The steel I just left as is, even though we only need 10. The titanium alloy I left as is, even though we only need 10. And then the titanium is here as well for the titanium alloy ingots. This is roughly correct. I think we needed 20 or something, and the blueprint made 50, so I just cut the blueprint in half. So there's all the smelting. There is the blue motors, the super magnetic rings, and then obviously the titanium alloy is specifically for our lovely deuterium fuel rods, which means that the last thing that we need to do is repurpose a blueprint for our actual deuterium fuel using the deuterium. Now, the issue with that is the fact that I am currently out of time, so future Benji is gonna have to take you guys in on this one in just a second. Okay, welcome back. It is future Benji time, and future Benji, aka me, has figured out that we are going to be able to support 12 of these machines. 12 machines making deuterium fuel per second with one 30 per second belt of deuterium. Which means, essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to be bringing in deuterium. Where did I decide I was going to do this? Where did I decide I was going to? Over here. Right? Wrong? Yes, over here. It was over this way. There was a whole bunch of space over here. So essentially, we're going to have systems of 24 machines, each one with 2 belts of our lovely, lovely, lovely deuterium coming out. Meaning we can keep it right here, nice and cozy. I'm going to give it just a little bit of space, and then we'll be able to do 12 machines on one belt for deuterium. And overall, like, with all of the systems, it's not even 30 deuterium fuel per second, so this will be fine. So deuterium fuel, as we talked about, has 3 components: the titanium alloy, the deuterium, and the supermagnetic rings. Again, purely arbitrary values of 3,000, just because I'm keeping it consistent. This is going to end up being a remote demand. We're not going to set that right now. This is going to be a local demand, and so is this. And then they will be outputting our lovely deuterium fuel, which will end up probably being a remote supply, but for now we're just going to do this instead. Jack that up. This is going to have to stay infinite, and I'm actually going to jack that up as well, because we are going to not only be processing deuterium on this planet up here, we are also going to be requesting deuterium from gas giants scattered throughout the galaxy. So, galaxy? Universe. Galaxy? Galaxy. I think this is a galaxy. So, for example, over here, we can see that I have named this one as claimed, meaning that I have been here and it is full of lovely, lovely, lovely orbital collectors. Meaning that I never have to go back to that gas giant, and there are 4 gas giants just like it scattered throughout our galaxy. I can't even remember what we just decided it was called. It's fine. So obviously 3 inputs, 1 output. It's just going to be the same thing, except for the fact that we're not doing a large setup. We're only doing this tiny 12 or 24 total setup because of the fact that we only have, well, barely anything. Barely any capacity for deuterium, I should specify. I also have barely any belts or inserters, and that's a problem that's very easily fixed with a visit to my hub. Boom. And then set the recipe, deuterium fuel rod, and then do this, and then do this. And I can actually go on ahead and put it as remote demand, and then it won't be local demand. And then we can just leave that, and we can put these in, and we can hold off on putting these guys in for now. That way, at least it's fully blueprinted and done and dealt with, and I don't have to worry about that piece of it at all. I just have to worry about putting logic vessels in all of them once we have the deuterium set up next time. But for right now, what we can do is we can set up the rest of these lovely things. Still, that's too close to another logic station? Okay, fine. Fine, whatever. We'll just come over here, put it there, and then do that same little jig maneuver again, and put it there, and then do the same little maneuver again, and put it there. Planetary hub. That's fine. Guess what we have plenty of here? Planetary hubs. This is why I made the mall design. This is why I love the interstellar mall design. It is fantastic. Uh-oh. That was the look of our power grid going offline for a second. Which brings me to another topic I would like to discuss before ending this episode, as we are out of time. So the thing that I want to bring up and discuss is the fact that when we move into our final goal, like for our goals that we're doing right now, the power demand isn't astronomical, it's just large. Versus our power demand for our science. The power demand for the science is going to be astronomically large, which means that we are going to need large amounts of power. In order to make 30 of each science per second, well, the electromagnetic matrix isn't going to really have a problem because it's super basic components and not a whole ton of machines due to the craft time. But when we get up here to the information matrix, where it's 1 every 10, or the gravity matrix, where it's 1 every 12, we're going to need a lot of labs. We're going to need a lot of components going into the labs, like strange matter with the deuterium. That's going to be so many miniature particle colliders, and the miniature particle colliders use 12 megawatts of power. That's more than an advanced mining machine on 300% overclock. So I've devised a mid-interim project where we're gonna probably finish this project, if not next episode, the following episode. And I was planning on starting on the science areas next, because those are gonna be super simple to plan and figure out. I have decided to have an interim project. Antimatter fuel production. With our Dyson sphere production online, with the small carrier rockets and the solar sails both being complete in our current star systems that we're working on as of now, we will have the capacity to make a very decent size Dyson sphere around this B-type star, which has a luminosity of 1.85, which is 1.85 times that of our base star in Asada Australis. This world also, or this star system also happens to have a sulfuric acid ocean and an ice giant for fire ice, meaning everything that has to go into an antimatter fuel production. Antimatter fuel rod uses antimatter and hydrogen, no surprises there, as well as annihilation constraint spheres and titanium alloy. Sulfuric acid, very easy for the titanium alloy, in addition to the titanium and iron. That's that problem solved. Antimatter annihilation constraint spheres are processors and particle containers. Processors are a very simple amalgamation of a shit ton of iron, silica, and copper. Shit ton of copper, shit ton of iron, decent amount of silica, probably to last for a while, and then we can tap other systems if it runs out, when it runs out, whatever. Titanium, not a problem whatsoever. Super duper easy. Might even be able to use some of this hydrogen from the ice giant, combine it with the titanium in order to make hydrogen fuel rods for some more power, although I don't really think that'll be necessary, because that just actually, now that I'm looking at it, seems like a waste of titanium. That's a very early game product. And then where was I going with that? The particle containers are also electromagnetic turbines, copper, and graphene. So a lot of iron, a lot of copper. Guess what? A lot of iron, a lot of copper, and graphene. Well, graphene is fire ice, and then we can just take that hydrogen, like I was saying, and toss it into a furnace array with the thermal power plants. And then boom, all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of antimatter fuel rods that we can then ship to anywhere we would like in the galaxy. Which brings me to the next point. How do we ship things throughout the galaxy? Well, with warpers. How do we make warpers? Well, efficiently with green science cubes. Which means that green science cubes, the gravity matrix, is going to be our first science that we're going to be utilizing, because of the fact that we're going to want the diamonds with the strange matter, deuterium, yet again. Who would have guessed deuterium is going to make another appearance? Luckily, only for the gravity matrix. And then we can make warpers out of the gravity matrices and ship the warpers from this system to everywhere else. And as far as I'm aware, this system has everything to make enough green science cubes for our warpers specifically, in addition to the fact that it has the hydrogen from the gas giant to be turned into deuterium for the strange matter, which goes into the graviton lenses, which goes into the gravity matrix. So, long story short, this system here is going to be for the antimatter fuel rod production, as well as the gravity warper, the graviton matrix production, so that we can actually have a decent supply of gravity matrix, or of warpers. Sorry, I keep saying the wrong words. Of warpers for our entire system, because we're going to need warpers pretty much everywhere. Like, in order to get from star system to star system, we're gonna need warpers, unless they're, like, super close, like these two guys. Like, these two guys are basically right next to one. But there's, like, no point. So is that a gamma? It is a gamma. Interesting, I didn't know you could do that. So that'll be the next intermediate project, but for now, that is actually going to be everything. It looks like the power consumption has stabilized for now. Obviously it won't be once I actually turn everything on, but for now it's going to be fine. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. Don't forget the blueprints are in the description. Where was I? Oh yeah. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, but without further ado, adios, sayonara, au revoir, hasta la vista, das vidania, wiedersehen, ciao, and goodbye. Please have yourselves all a fantastic rest of your day. Get some sleep if you need to. Don't forget to stay hydrated. This video is in the bag, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later, y'all.